Hey guys, what is up? Welcome to Wholesaling with Lenny. I am your host, Lenny. Thank you guys for stopping by. What we do here, man, we talk to real estate investors, and we gather information about their journey, gather tools that they've learned along the way. That they want to come on, share their experiences, their lessons, the heartaches, ups and downs. Today we actually got a friend, Christian Jones, on from Christian Electrical Services here in Springfield. Mo, Chris, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well. I'm having a hard time hearing you, though.
Okay, can you hear me now?
That's better.
Perfect, perfect. Yeah, great, man. So we just want to dig in. I really want to start with you know, the trade, right? The master electrician, the electrician trade. Because we spoke about it briefly. I've actually went to school to become an electrician, and I went as far as wiring, the frame house, and a few events happened in my life, or whatever, and I couldn't go through class. So I've always had mad respect for electricians, just the craft, alone. So like, what is your favorite part of being an electrician?
Oh, the favorite part's always turning everything on. But I mean, I really like being an electrician because it's a great mix between brains and bronze.
Right.
I figure if I'm a pretty small guy. I don't have a lot of bronze, but I can muscle my way through most things. But with the brains, all you have to do is get yourself around some guys that have more bronze, and you're good to go.
Yeah, most definitely, man. So how long have you been an electrician?
I've been an electrician for about 10 years.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That is beautiful, man. So within 10 years, so when you started out, when you first got your, license to do, electrical services in the state of Missouri, when you started out, was it just you, or did you and the wife, or
Sorry, say that again.
when you started out, when you first started out before, you built your business to what it is now, like who was it with you in the beginning?
So I started out as an apprentice, like any other electrician. I worked.
Right.
So I started out actually with what I call a fly by night company. It's one of those huge companies that works all across the U.S. and they come into your area. They pick up some locals. They do a couple of jobs and then they leave. So that's how I got a taste for the work. And then I
Okay.
looked for a company that was hiring apprentices, and that's how I came down to the Springfield area, and was an apprentice for about 4 years. Then I during that time I went to OTC and studied their electrical certificate program, um, which was great because you don't learn the book in the field very much,
Exactly.
and the test is all about the book. But having gone through that and worked in the field at the same time, I was able to pass my exam the first time. And so I became a journeyman and worked as a journeyman for about 4 years. And then I applied for my state electrical contractor's license, which is equivalent, if I can talk, of a master.
Right. And just to go back real quick for for those who listening and might not be local, OTC is actually Ozark Technical College, correct?
Yes. Ozarks Technical Community College.
Perfect, perfect. Perfect. Yeah, man. So that is awesome to hear. So once you got your license and you started your bit, like once you got official, all the way official, done with everything, done with school, the apprenticeship, the licensing, when you decided, to say I'm going to name this Christian Electrical Service, right? You know, like, was it just you out the gate, or did you kind of, set this thing up? Because I know now you have a nice size company, right? You got guys on the job that really know what they're doing, really take their time, take pride in the work. And I know those guys literally got that from you. You know what I mean? Got that work ethic from you because, we all know like the crew's only good, as the leader. You know what I mean? So, when you first
Mm-hmm.
started, wasn't it just you and your wife running the business?
So Christian Electrical Services has been a long time in the making. So when I first started with that name, my main job was actually I was 1099 for under a master, and that was what I called my side work until I realized that 1099 means you're your own employer.
Exactly.
But it took me a while to realize that. But when I started realizing that, I started not becoming content with the circumstances that I was in, and uh, eventually I left that master and started doing some solar installs. Did that for a couple of years, traveling around. Got tired of traveling and came home and made Christian Electrical Services an official business in the Springfield area.
Awesome.
And we've been doing that for a couple of years now.
Beautiful.
And
Beautiful.
we started out at that point. Um, we started out with me and my brother-in-law as my apprentice, and now I have him. He's basically my crew leader. He's got well over 20 years experience in construction in general, so
Nice.
I don't need him to be the most knowledgeable in the electrical in order to lead the crew. I've got two other guys with him now that they've got oh close to the amount of experience that I have. So
Nice.
he's got all the knowledge he needs on his team. But
Nice. Nice.
yeah, we started off originally just me and him, and then slowly, well, I say slowly, but it was all last year. I added, actually I had four people, but now we're down to three. But that happens.
And
Not
that's
everyone's made for.
exactly, it does happen. And where we are, a lot of people find good contractors, good work hard to find, right? Like it's literally hard to find, right? Everybody wants to do their thing. A guy may show up 2 3 days, get some money. He's gone, and he call back when he broke, or what I mean, or someone was in the wrong place, wrong time. They got their tools stolen. They can no longer work. You know what I mean? Things happen. So
Yep.
building a crew, a steady crew in this business is really awesome, man. So we had met the first time we had met. We was actually at the Pints of Properties real estate group. Shout out to Jed and those guys at Pints of Properties. We actually met there, and I wanted to talk about the transition. Right, I want to talk about the transition because you said you were a 1099 employee under the master until you realized, like, wait, I'm my own boss. Right. So,
Yep.
right. So when you had that epiphany, right, and you slowly built Christian Electrical Services, because right now it is a very strong name in Springfield. And, dude, we love everything that you guys do. Um, what was that transition? What was that transition? And you said, now I want to learn about real estate, or have you already wanted to learn about real estate, or how did that transition come about?
Okay. Well, we actually met before Pints and Properties. If you
Re-
remember, it was at Blaine Street, just real briefly. Um,
Oh, you're right.
but yeah, with Robert.
Yeah, definitely. Shout out to Robert Griffin.
But yeah, so um, how did I transition, or how did I get into the real estate world? Hugh Carnahan. He's actually the one who started the Pints and Properties group.
Okay.
But I I've done work for him essentially since starting in the Springfield area. He was one of the first investors, if not the first investor that I did work for. Uh, I've done several jobs with him, but he saw me listening to a podcast one day on a job, and he just put the bug in my ear that I ought to listen to Bigger Pockets.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I started listening to it, and at the time I wasn't really interested in investing in real estate.
Right.
I actually, at that point, I already had no, I think that was, can't remember which came first. If I already had my mother in a house, which I think I did. I think I already had my mother living in a house that I own, uh, which I didn't really look at it as an investment property. At best, it's for appreciation,
Right.
but it's
Right.
mainly to take care of my mother. Uh, but yeah, so he put the bug in my ear. I started listening to Bigger Pockets, uh, just here and there. I it was it was interesting to me, and I really liked the business side of it that they talked about, and the fact that they talked about the business, because business is business. It doesn't matter what the category is.
Exactly.
Setting up a good business that runs itself is, the basics are the same. you know the titles of the people on your team might be different, but that's about it.
Yeah. Right.
But anyway, the then I started thinking, and it's probably influenced by Bigger Pockets, but my wife and I had kind of talked about it just a little bit here and there beforehand, about a mobile home that's on my street, and it's the last eyesore on my street.
Right.
During the COVID pandemic, an investor came in and cleaned up the other eyesore that we had. I mean, it was so bad. I think they bought it for like $7,000.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they were replacing framing members. It didn't even have a roof on it when they bought it.
Really? Wow. That's wild.
Yeah, they kept the basic of the bones, but some of the bones were replaced. But then they turned around and sold it for $180,000
Oh wow.
in my neighborhood, where I know that my house and the house next door to me 8 years ago sold for 60. Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
so that got me thinking a little bit too.
Definitely.
And then after that went up and I found out how much it sold for, getting rid of that trailer, I figured just getting rid of it, even if we don't put anything back there, is going to just send the appreciation up again.
Right. Exactly.
But so that was the initial thought, and I called the owner up, which I got her number from my neighbor across the street that lives right next door to him, because I guess she had tried to buy them a few years ago, but the lady wasn't ready to sell at that point. And I called her up and told her, or I verified that it was her property.
Right.
And then I told her that I saw your tenants move out. Are you interested in selling it? And she answered yes. So
Wow.
I was pumped. I was excited.
So as soon as you called her, she said yes, just like that.
Yeah. Yeah,
So you know,
she was ready to get rid of it.
so for the audience, for those who may not know, how did you come up with the owner's phone number?
My neighbor.
Perfect, 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 perfect. Oh,
My
so
neighbor
yeah,
had
that's
applied
right, that's
to
right. Yeah,
yeah.
that is awesome. That is awesome. So you called her. She says yes.
Yep.
Okay, so what was like? What's our next step?
Well, at that point, I really didn't know that much about real estate, so I didn't have a figure in my head of what it was even worth or what I should buy it for, and neither did she. So we ended the call basically. I'll go ahead and run my numbers and see what I can afford to buy it for, and you run your numbers, see what you need to get, and then we'll get back together.
Right.
Well, I came up with my number and tried to call her back a few times. Didn't get anything. Just
Really?
voicemail. Yeah.
So at this point, do you think that the seller's ghosting you?
I don't know that I put that much thought into it,
Right.
um, but I was determined to get it.
Right.
So
Right.
I called her back a couple more times, and eventually I got a hold of her,
Nice.
and she's like, "Yeah, I got your message. I've been trying to figure out how to sell it to you because it's on this loan with these two other mobile homes in Rogersville," and I'm like, "Well, why don't I just buy all three of them?"
Right.
And she's like, "Oh, well, is that all that you're interested in?"
Wow.
And I'm like, "No, what else you got?"
Right.
And so she's telling me about all these properties, and so I got to back up a little bit. Uh, Before I got a hold of her um, the second time, I was I'd done some work for a guy in my church, a friend at church that he flips homes.
Right.
Sometimes it's a lip flip, sometimes it's just a flip, and he'd driven by my house to drop off a check because we live in the same neighborhood, and I was telling him about that trailer that I was trying to buy,
Right.
and he's like, "Well, if you need a partner, let me know. I'm interested."
Wow.
And then I get a
Wow.
hold of her, and she says that she's got all these other properties.
Wow.
So I get off the phone with her, and I let him know, and he's like, "Yeah, we'll take all of them."
We definitely will. We definitely will. So you called about one property, right? You called a seller about one property.
Yep.
You guys, get to talking. You went on break for a while, reconnected with the seller, and then the seller gets to telling you about all these other properties.
Yep.
Wow, just like
Yeah.
that.
Initially I thought it was gonna be like 19 or 20 properties, but when we sat down and she gave us the list, turned out to be 14. I wasn't crying though. I
Wow,
mean,
it's
that's still
14 properties.
14 properties.
Brian Anderson says Melanie Rushing. He says on the
Sorry, I didn't
screen.
catch that.
Oh no, it's on the screen. We got a question on the screen from Brian Anderson. He asks, "Is it Melanie Rushing? Is the one you bought the properties from?"
Yes, she is.
Yeah, Brian Anderson said he sold her about 80% of that. Shouts out to Brian. Brian is a local real estate, long time investor and ex realtor here in Springfield. We having some errors with Christian. Give him a moment, guys. He will be back. Well, Kristen left. Okay, guys, let's give Christian a second to come on back. But this is very interesting, man. And this is why I always tell people, ask them what else do they got, right? What else do they got for sale? It's a classic example. Guy calling about one property. He ended up buying 14 properties from this lady, right? He literally called about one property. He literally bought 14 properties. Let old Chris back in. Bam, there we go.
I'm back.
Yeah. So John Anderson, I commented it because when he was a realtor, or maybe not before he was a realtor, but he's sold a lot of property. So that
I
was
gotcha.
great. So it would end up being 14 properties total, correct? 14 total.
Yeah, 14 properties total.
Nice, total, man. So walk me through the acquisition of the property. Like, what did you guys come up with? Like, how did you guys come up with your number? To actually buy all these things.
Well, I treated it like a commercial property. Uh, I had her give me what each property is bringing in rent, and um, basically went off the 1% rule. So a couple of the properties still have tenants in them that aren't paying. That we're working on that. But anyways, it boiled down to uh, yeah. So we just came up with the 1% used the 1% rule to come up with the number, and
Right.
then she came back with the number that was right in the range that I was looking at,
Right.
and then when I brought my partner in on it, uh, we talked her down another 15 grand. So
Nice, man. You're able to get the deal done, and you recently just closed on this,
yep.
right? Right. So
Yes, I closed on it at the end of November.
in November, closed on it. So it was a beautiful Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely a beautiful Christmas, man, for the Jones family uh, this year. As like you, this is the like I was telling everybody all the time when you had left for a second that you know um, if you get a motivated seller and you just be you, right? Just genuinely be you. Sellers can sense it, right? Sellers can sense it, and then this actually gets the seller to open up, right? And you called about
Yeah.
one property. You called about one property. You just closed on 14 of those properties, right? So
Yep.
and you guys are holding these and cash flowing these, correct?
Yes.
Perfect. So now that you got your first 14, which is basically like not your first deal because you said, the first property that your mind was in, you didn't really look at that one as an investment property. So we're going to just look at this one as, an investment property. And instead of you guys buying one, you literally bought 14.
Yeah.
That is insane.
Not the original intention, but
Exactly.
when the opportunity presents itself and you can make it work, why not?
Yeah. So when she said, I got 14 properties, and I mean, this is mind blowing, dude, right? Because you literally called about one property, trying to buy a property, and next thing you know, you have this portfolio that people have been doing this stuff for years and just not getting the 10, right? Your first deal you bought, 14 homes. And that is beautiful. Um, I want to go back to the electrical services as well as the the 14 property investment. Obviously, Christian Electrical Services will be, the electrician, the electrical company to manage these, right? Where do you see yourself
Absolutely.
starting with these 14? What's next, right? Like, what's next? 'Cause that's 14 is huge, right? So what's next? So now, like, is in your mind, you already know in your mind that getting 14 can be done just like that, right? Through a simple partnership. So what's next?
Well, what's next is the rehab process. These are not they had tenants in them, but they need a lot of work.
I get it.
I mean, we're working on getting the funding for the first rehab project, and this is one of our nicer houses, and it doesn't have any at
Oh
all.
wow, really?
No baseboard heaters, no window units, nothing.
Oh, it's hot.
So,
It's hot in
and
there.
it needs a brand new roof.
Okay, okay, nice, nice,
So,
nice.
just to give you an idea, these are going to be a little bit of a long game for fixing up, but
I get it.
we plan on buying more properties too.
Definitely, man. I mean, because you guys
But,
got cash flow, so you know what I mean. You guys
yep,
got
and
you guys got cash flow. And that's like so awesome. You know what I mean? Like, because people buy properties and then it takes them a while to rehab them, and then they don't turn cash, and then they end up selling off the property or doing something else with the property. You bought these 14 properties that was already cash flowing when you
yes,
when you was trying to buy one from the seller that wasn't doing anything. And then now, you have 14 of them from the property. So going in as expanding, do you guys, see, like, would you ever consider going and getting a real estate license?
I honestly haven't even considered it.
Good answer. Great answer, right? Because you ask these questions to people after these big deals that they've made, right? After these big triumphs they made, and then they're like, "Well, I take my realtor's test in June," and it's like, "What are you talking about? Like, why? You just got 14 properties from somebody that's bringing in money. You didn't have to pay for a class. You didn't, no state dues and no monthly dues, and
Mm.
nobody gets paid before you." You know what I mean. So, it's a
Oh, and
beautiful. Yeah,
I already have a business.
exactly, right. It's a beautiful thing, man. So, like I said, I want to go back to building the services, the electrical services. We already know that is. You worked up under the master electrician. Now, going back to acquiring these 14 units and getting into real estate, would you say that you self-educated yourself?
Oh yeah, yep. Largely through bigger pockets.
Definitely.
Actually, on the real estate side, well, I guess I did a little bit of research into um, Robert Kiyosaki. Um, so that was one of the books that Hugh invited me to read was Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Nice. Yeah.
So
Definitely.
I read that and several of the bigger pockets books. Still going through some of them.
Nice.
uh, Putting time aside to read is not my strong point,
Right. I get it. I
but
get it.
I have binged I've been binging Bigger Pockets real estate podcast. Well, let's see, for about 8 months now, and I'm bringing it up here real quick to try and see how many I have left to catch up with. Let's see. Newer episodes. I am behind 59 episodes, and that's it now. I started at the beginning.
Wow, you've caught up.
Yeah.
Fast.
So
that is great, man. So you are married,
yes,
right? You have a wife, and how
I
many
have five
children?
children.
You have a wife and 5 children.
5. Mm-hmm.
Five. And you like was like? Did you and your wife meet here in Springfield, or?
No, we were both living in the central Missouri area. I was living in Fulton, and her family was in Avaz, uh, little towns up north. But we met in Columbia, Missouri, at a church institute class. She was on her, she was going to BYU, Idaho, and they have what's called an off track instead of a summer break.
Right.
And that off track happens at different times of the year depending on which track that you're on. And she just happened to be her off track, I think it was over what we would call fall semester in that time period, and that's when we met.
Nice, awesome, man. So you guys been together now for a while. You guys got 5 children. You guys just acquired 14 properties, right? And building wealth for a lot of people. Um, a lot of people find it difficult because a lot of people don't have the understanding of what building wealth is, right? Because they figure they can go to 9 to 5 every day and save a lot of money, and then one day they'll be wealthy. When there's actually a lot of outside actions that you have to do besides that 40 hours. What I mean? Whether it's reading, or reading books like Rich Dad Poor Dad, going to local REI meetings, getting around more people that's actually doing real estate, and doing it, correctly, people who's actually profiting from, real estate transaction, as well as having a good base, right? Because having a good base at home means a lot. Having a good base as far as the crew, that you work with, and your partner, your investor that you work with as well. As far as going back to Christian Electrical Services, what is one of the biggest problems, or one of the biggest problems or the biggest jobs that you guys did last year? Because I don't know if you do, commercial. We've never talked about it. So, what is like one of the biggest jobs, that you guys have done, or, problems that you guys solved last year?
Yeah. So we do both residential and commercial. Uh, so far, let's see. Well, I know with Hugh Carnahan, we did an apartment building of 6 units in North Springfield. Um, let's see, what are some other larger jobs that we've done? I mean, we've done several custom homes.
Nice.
Yep. That's with Phillips Custom Builders. And then we've done. I mean, we've worked for several investors, just rehabbing their homes, whether it's bare stud remodel or even with the sheetrock on the walls.
Right.
A lot easier without the sheetrock, though.
Yeah, most definitely, man. Most definitely it is. You already know. So, man, like
Yeah.
if you had 10 times the budget that you got right now, right? If you had 10 times the budget that you have right now, would you go after another 14?
Oh
Or,
yeah.
or would you guys like consider, to say like a multi-unit this time?
Honestly, we almost went after a multi-unit already.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
because I'm asking because at this point you've turned into a very strong cash buyer.
well, and that's what we thought too. But we had just closed on the 14 properties at the end of November,
Right.
and there was there's four plexes in Fordland, like on the other side of my neighborhood, that were up for foreclosure sale. And I went to the bank, and they basically told us it's too much too soon.
Oh,
Slow down
wow.
a little bit.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So the bank wanted a little season. Bank say,
Yeah.
the bank say, give us 90 days. Give us 90 days.
Like, come on, man, this is a really good deal.
Yeah. They say, come back in 90 days. Come back in 90 days.
Well, and we knew we had the equity. We could buy it with the equity.
Exactly, man. Buy it with the equity, man. Exactly.
But it's also at the time where the banks are starting to tighten up a little bit right
Yeah,
now because they don't know
exactly.
what's going to happen in the market and all that. So
Exactly, man. Exactly. Man, if you could talk to, your younger self, if you could talk to your younger self, you know, I mean, what do you wish that your younger self knew about real estate investing?
honestly, I wish I just knew more when I was younger, because I could have gotten in the game 10 years ago. Back when I was a young newlywed.
Yeah,
Uh, I probably would have started off house hacking, because
definitely.
now I've got 5 kids. If I'm gonna house hack, I need a large duplex.
Yeah, most definitely.
But
Yeah, man.
either that or a house that's easy to convert the basement.
Yeah, definitely right. Definitely right. So man, that is awesome, man. So right. So I mean, moving along in 2023, man, I believe 2023 is gonna continue to be epic for you. Um, because I don't know, none of us know what the Fed's gonna do, right? Some people say it's gonna go up, some people say it's gonna go down, but we still trying to buy real estate whether it's gonna go up or go down, right? We don't really care because we're gonna refinance, right? And so when it go down, we're gonna refinance. So um, it's awesome, man. So you was telling me about Rich Dad Poor Dad, right? Is there any more books that you would recommend, for our viewers and listeners?
Sure. Uh, let's see. I've read the Burr book all the way through by David. I think that's David Green.
David Green, shout out to
David
David Green.
Green or Brandon Turner. It's one of the
Yeah,
two.
that was David Green. Yeah, that was David. Yeah.
Okay. And then I'm working on long state real estate investing on that book right now. And in the future, I would like to buy a property in Florida at least. But
Definitely.
I'm not right now. I'm looking at just buying locally. But the systems that he talks about in that book are solid for any area.
Yeah. Nice, man. Perfect. That's awesome, man. So, because we had contemplated when Shamika Jackson had brought it up. Shout out to Shamika Jackson, one of the group experts, actually taught me a lot about real estate investing. And Shamika was talking about, how we should have a monthly book club in the group.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So I think we should go ahead and kick it off, and go ahead, next week or whatever. Well, next month is coming up. Might as well, get together, group of us get together, kind of choose a book and, make sure everybody can order the book so we can all read through the book together, build on the book, see what kind of strategies, I mean, because, but it got to be a cool ass book. You know what I mean? Like it got to be a cool ass book, like something like the Bird or, or the what's the negotiation book? Um, Never Split the Difference, right?
Oh
Never
yeah.
Split the Difference, Think and Grow Rich. And there's a lot of other books out there too. There's books that I believe that can actually help as well. You got a Battlefield of the Mind by Joyce Myers. Um, you actually got a ton of books by Reverend Joyce Myers that actually that'd be good. There's a lot of T.D. Jakes books that'd be good. There's a lot of books outside of the realm of real estate that
Oh
actually
yeah.
I believe that it actually help you boost your business as well. So we're gonna go
Mhm.
ahead and start the monthly book reading, and everybody kind of just jump on the Zoom and we go over the book, et cetera, et cetera. I think that'd be pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
Kristen, man, if you can give anybody some advice tonight. They may be thinking, they may be, jogging right now, listening to us. They may be watching this, maybe listening to us on their cell phone. What advice would you have to a person sitting here thinking, I need to get into real estate? What do I got to do?
Don't think about the big picture yet. You can dream, but you know, I didn't buy 14 property. I didn't go into this thinking I was going to buy 14 properties. I was going into after one. And honestly, when I was thinking about it, I would say just get rid of the trailer,
Yeah, yeah,
have an empty lot.
yeah.
So, just take the next step. Figure out what that next step is and go after it.
That's right.
The vision can change as you go along, and it probably will. But, if you're moving in that direction, and that's what matters. It's that
Yeah,
motion, that momentum,
most definitely, most definitely.
and you got to be persistent. It
Yeah,
took me
yeah.
about 6 months to land that deal and
Keep
close
going.
it.
Yeah, keep going at it. We was working on the deal a few weeks ago. Me and Orlando Swearing. Just shout out to Orlando, and the person that owned the property was actually in Christian County Jail. Right. So,
Mhm.
long story short, we actually had to go get an attorney, and the attorney had to go down to Christian County Jail to get the power of attorney to close. It literally took us a month to close that deal. And he had started to tell me, man, he was starting to get discouraged, like he didn't think the deal was going to close. And
Mhm.
I was telling him, man, just kind of hold on. But right now, while we're working on this deal to close, let's keep trying to close more deals. Let's not get stuck on this one deal, right? Because every deal don't close. Every deal doesn't close is what it is. Realtors go through it, wholesalers go through it, brokers go through it, right? Deals just don't close. Buyers back out. Realtors go through it, wholesalers go through it, brokers go through it, right? It just is what it is. So it's literally always all about picking yourself up, dusting yourself off, right? Go ahead and get that next no until you get a
Mhm.
yes, being persistent and being relatable, being, persistent, and, just keep digging, and, I always tell people all the time, the guys who was buying all the shovels and the pickaxes during the gold rush, those aren't the guys who got rich. The guys that were selling the shovels and the pickaxes, those are the guys who got rich, right? So, as a real estate
Mhm.
wholesaler, we have those pickaxes and those shovels. You know what I mean? That versus somebody else who may not, right? So now let's go back. Like, so have you, did this brings me to another question. Have you closed the wholesale deal yet?
Have I closed a wholesale deal?
Yeah.
No, no.
See, well,
That
we got to
I
get
mean,
you, we got to get you a wholesale deal closed, bro. We got to do it. We got to do it. We got to do it. I mean, you bought
yeah,
15, like you bought 14 units before you closed the wholesale deal, and I'm wholesaling deals to buy units. You know what I mean?
mhm.
So you got to get a wholesale deal because they get addictive. It get addictive. You know what I mean? And where you're at now, that's
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean? it'll just really help boost your business now. You know what I mean? Really help boost your business, man, to boost your portfolio up if you jumped into, we get you a wholesale deal, at least one or two a month. You know what I mean? It'll definitely help us push the rehabs along, you know what I mean, without totally
True.
depending on outside money. So, get us a few deals going, man. But Christian, man, like to thank you for coming, man. If any of you guys watching, local investors, man, if you guys are listening, we're in Springfield, Missouri. You guys want to reach out to Christian Electrical Service for all of your electrical needs. These guys do it all, as you hear, commercial as well as residential. I got the pleasure of speaking with the owner today, Mr. Christian Jones. We went over how he bought 14 property portfolio when all he wanted to do was move the trailer out the end of the street, right? He wanted to buy a trailer at the end of the street just to move it off his block. And he ended up buying 14 cash flowing properties, guys. So look, anything's possible, right? Anything's possible. Anybody can do this. Most of us in this space right now, we're all mostly generally self-educated, right? So, I always tell people, man, keep learning, keep going, get around people that's in the real estate space, right? Because if you're sitting at home, you don't know how to get in real estate. Well, the first thing you need to do is get around people that's actually closing deals, right? Go to the local real estate, go to the local real estate meetings, read more books, etc. etc. But Christian, man, once again, I'd like to thank you for coming, man. And I know your father, your husband, your entrepreneur. Man, do you got any words, of encouragement, man, that you can leave us with tonight?
Words of encouragement. Just go and do it. If you got an idea, just go after it. That, like I said earlier, momentum really is the biggest thing. 3 years ago, I was not an entrepreneur. I dabbled at it previously, but
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, once you just have to set your mind to it and go after it. That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, that's it, man. That's definitely it. I was telling one of my guys earlier, like I was telling Orlando, I was like, man, we got to keep the deal flow, keep the deal flow going, and that literally takes persistence, right? And we may not get the first phone number right, or second phone number right, but you may often have times where, as a wholesaler, you may have to call the brother, or you may have to call the niece just to get in contact with the owner. We literally went through it the other day. We skip traced the property, and we ended up talking to the ex-husband, and the ex-husband had to put us in contact with the cousin, because the cousin is the one now who's in charge of the property, and the property's about to go up for auction next month on the 9th, right? So keep pressing, because we're trying to stop that foreclosure from happening. So guys, keep pressing, keep calling, keep building leads, man. Keep showing compassion for your sellers. Listen to what your sellers saying when they're talking, because if Christian had just said, hey, I just want to buy a trailer, that probably would have been the end of it, okay? But since he's a genuine guy, he built a little rapport with the seller. He walked away with 14 cash flowing properties, and all he wanted to do was move the piece of crap trailer off the end of his block, and he literally ended up buying 14 properties. Ladies and gentlemen, that is literally the definition of turning trash into gold, okay? The man literally turned trash into gold, okay?
Looking for a problem and fix it.
Yeah, find a problem and fix it, man. So, Christian, man, once again, man, thanks for coming. Man, it's been an honor and a pleasure, man, having you on, man. As soon as you guys get that multi-unit, man, we're going to come on back and get us an interview going here, man.
There we go.
No doubt, man. Thanks a lot, man, for coming, man. Once again, guys, thanks for stopping in for the Wholesaling with Lenny podcast. My name is Lenny, and with my special guest, man, Christian Jones. No doubt, man. You guys have a good one.